Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Sean, sometimes known as the Beast. Couple of records to show, a couple of CDs. Only actually two bands, and there is a bit of a theme between the two records. I was on a forum on the mighty Reddit the other day, which is normally a good place to go if you want to find some of the sketchier artists in the black metal world, and somebody had commented on a photograph of one of these albums I'm about to show you, saying that they were obviously Nazi inspired, promoting that type of rhetoric and such like. And someone had actually said, well, what makes you think that? And they said, well, they come out on stage wearing German uniforms, they sing in German, and they're obviously, it's all World War I related. Now, the easiest put down to that question, to that comment would have been, well, the Nazi Party wasn't actually formed until 1920, which was after World War I. But, it was maybe feeling like he needed a little bit of attention, and his mum would maybe put a tit away for a day or something like that. So it sort of got me thinking, how quick, especially in the black metal genre, how quick are people to jump on the iconography, the cover artwork, and just suddenly lump everything together. I'm not saying there isn't bands out there that promote, the Nazi ideals and stuff. That's a conversation for another day. So, anyway, long-winded way to get around to showing this first album. Now, the band in question are called Kanonenfieber, or something like that. The album itself is called, I wrote it down, Menschenmühl. This is their debut full-length that came out in 2021. This is on Avant-Garde Records. It's black metal, but with more of a death metal feel, like blackened death metal almost. I became aware of these from Matthew over at Altars of Madness. I believe he showed the album from last year called, did I make a note of it? I did make a note of it. Die Catastrophe. Obviously, flawless German pronunciations. So I bought that one, blew me away, over the moon with it. So I thought, right, I need to get the rest of the stuff. And it's been pretty difficult to track down, to be honest, without paying stupid prices for postage and such like. So I've listened to this album a lot digitally, which again is something I don't necessarily like to do. So in a couple of days ago I walked into Beatdown Records in Newcastle, obviously, and to find this in there for the price they were charging, it was an instant, had to grab it, no messing. What this is, it's a solo project. The gentleman is called Noise, and he does everything on these studio records himself. This is very much, as I said, it's World War I based. It's black metal with a very much of a death metal feel to it. It's certainly not the sort of the lo-fi, harsh type of black metal I do show quite a lot of. The vocals on this are quite, it's a really broad vocal range. There is some shrieks in it, there is some screeching in it. There's quite a lot of death metal style growls and such like. The music itself is quite sort of like quite a harrowing atmosphere, which is helped by, there's a lot of radio broadcast like sound bites. I'm assuming that they are original recordings. but they could potentially be, you know, something that's been recorded in that style just to add to the record. You get quite a nice lyrical booklet. Now the German, sorry, the lyrics are all in German, which sort of might sound a little bit controversial, but it sort of adds to the angry sound of a lot of these tracks. And the music itself, the music is absolutely superb. It's very, very riff heavy. There's a lot of really, really catchy hooks, and the one downside, avert your eyes if you're not a fan of coloured vinyl. It's not too bad, to be fair, but yeah, it's an album that I was keen to get because like I said, I've played it quite a lot digitally. I think we've got a couple of EPs, maybe 2 or 3 EPs and a couple of singles out that I'm desperately trying to track down. But yeah, this is like I say, if you're a fan of death metal with a passing interest in black metal, this might be well worth adding to your collection. It's certainly worth listening to. It's sort of, it's got its like a talent in either camp, in the black metal camp, in the death metal camp. Really, really, really good record. Like I say, the album they had out last year was superb, and this is equally as good. So yeah, Kanonenfieber, and whatever that word says there, obviously, as I always do, I'll stick the titles up and I'll leave links in the comments, in the description, sorry, as to so you can go and hopefully check it out yourself and let me know what you think. So, sticking with Kanonenfieber or Fiber, or however you want to pronounce it, they released their second live album, Live in Oberhausen. So when I saw that it was coming out on Blu-ray, CD type thing, I was keen to get a copy. Now, obviously, being collector scum, as one is, when I also saw that there was a vinyl version, I had to grab the vinyl as well. And I'm really, really glad I did. So, as I said, this is Live in Oberhausen. 8 of the tracks on this album are actually from the second full length. There is a couple off that 9-inch, yeah, that one. And I think there's 2 tracks off one of the EPs that I don't actually own. So, watching the DVD, sorry, the Blu-ray, I was intrigued at how it was going to sound, because I'm not the biggest fan of live albums, if I'm being honest. The sound on this is really, really, really good. The atmosphere, it starts off from like the crowd interaction right at the beginning. It starts off and you sort of know, yeah, they've captured something a little bit special there. Now obviously it is normally a solo project, but he's got a live band. You can see that the gents there are all wearing sort of like face coverings to be all moody and mysterious and anonymous. Obviously it does tell you their stage names on the back of it, but hey ho, we don't know if it's, you know, one might be a police officer, one might be a solicitor, might be a butcher, you know, you never know. But yeah, so I was intrigued to hear this as well as watch the footage. So I watched the video for the concert first, really enjoyed it. The atmosphere, the aesthetics, the stage set was quite, it definitely adds to something without being over the top. It's quite a simplistic stage set. There's a big blimp on the backdrop. The drum riser is surrounded by like sandbags, obviously. A couple of field guns either side of it. The guys are all wearing like army uniforms and set the covered masks and such. the sound on this for a live recording is one of the best recorded live records I've got. You know, it's clear. There's not too much of the crowd bleeding into it, but there's enough where you can understand that, you know, they're enjoying the show. The energy's coming back from the crowd to the band, and then getting returned 10 times over. If you've never heard the band and you jump straight into it, it might be a little bit, well, you know, knowing the songs I think helps overall to enjoy the live performance. But like I said, as a live recording, and quite quite a simplistic set, but very much in keeping with what you'd expect. Yeah, really good. It's worth checking out. I will leave a link. I believe there's some clips of it on YouTube, so I'll leave some of the links in the description, so you can go and check out some of the more popular songs, as it were. So yeah, so that's Kanonenfieber live in Oberhausen. Now this next band, I'm definitely gonna have to read this because it's quite a mouthful. I bought this actual album on CD quite some time ago. I'm not even going to say where I bought it from because you'll know anyway. And it was purely because of the cover. It intrigued me. Now again, you look at that cover and you automatically think it's going to be war themed. Is it going to be Nazi themed? Is it going to be something that's not very nice? Potentially it is. This is a one-man project. The band itself, obviously it's written in Japanese, but it translates loosely as Kyokujitsushou, which, what was the word they used? I think it's romanized, means Order of the Rising Sun. And the album itself is called Patriotism. Now, patriotism seems to be a word here in the UK recently that garners a lot of negativity, because obviously some of the fuckwits in the world think it's not very good to be patriotic. But that's an argument for another day, or a discussion for another day. This is real. I played the bejesus out of this. It's only 5 tracks, including a Satanic War Master cover. So Matt over at Mattock's Deep Shadows, I was chatting with him a couple of weeks ago and he said, "Oh, have you seen this one?" And he showed the vinyl version, or sent me a picture of it. So lo and behold, as I walked into the Beatdown the other day and picked up Kanonenfieber, this little beauty was still sat behind the shelves, awaiting to be entered into their discogs and such like. So it was always going to come on with me. Now, this is, to the layman, what a black metal album would sound like. It's not quite lo-fi as such in its production, but it's definitely got that sort of lo-fi vibe, as it were. Just on black wax with quite simple centre labels. There's not a lot of information around about this, about the band, project, or whatever. The drums, it says on song 1 are by somebody called Freak Noisecore, which is quite an interesting name. But yeah, and as I said, track 4 is The Chant of Barbarian Wolves, by a cover by Satanic War Master. A really good job as well. I don't actually own the Satanic War Master version, but when I'd listened to this a few times, I went and listened to it digitally, and he's done a really good job on this. Now, I read a review online saying that some of the songs on this were a little bit bloated and a little bit overextended, you know, but I think the first track's over 13 minutes. But being a doom metal fan as well, the length of a song doesn't, you know, it's not that bothering for me if it's good. Now, I've said before about some black metal, it seems, and it's not meant in a derogatory way, it seems quite simplistic as like to listen to. This is the prime example of that. There's not a lot in the way of vocals on this. The vocals that are on it are quite harsh, as you would expect, but he seems to use his music more to get his message across than actually any type of lyrical content. Which again, some people may find that a bit monotonous, boring. For me, I never ever get bored of listening to this. If I put it on, I will listen to it all the way through. It's not something I put on just and then turn off after 10 minutes. The riffs are quite repetitive, quite memorable. There's a couple of them, you can sort of hear them. Say there's a couple in track 1, you can sort of hear them in track 5, or a slight variant of it. And I think because it's such, they are quite repetitive, it stands out a little bit more. But what I have found with this album is, I will be humming this hours, or certain phrases of it hours after I listen to it, because it's a proper earworm. You know, it gets in your psyche, and you'll be going about your daily business, and there's this little riff burning its way into your psyche, and you're thinking, what the, you know, it's come from nowhere. But yeah, it's a really, really good album. So it's very much a black metal album. Very much, if you're not a fan of black metal, it probably won't change your mind. However, if you do like black metal, then it's definitely worth giving it a spin. And if you can find a copy, grab it, because it's absolutely cracker. It's out on Darker Than Black. Now, a lot of the stuff I've bought from recently, black metal related, are on this Darker Than Black label, and so far, touch wood, I haven't had any like crap off there. A few have been bordering on it, but yeah. So this is Kyokujitsushou and their album Patriotism. So that's it for this one. Just sort of like follow on from the Reddit discussion type thing, really, with the oh, if it's got a soldier on the front it must be Nazi themed and such, like absolute bollocks. If you stuck it out this long, thank you very much for watching me waffle rubbish about music again. Hopefully, if there's anything here that you found interesting, pop down in the comments, and if you've got any views of the genre, as it were, and how nasty it gets with misconceptions, is that a word that could probably fit it? Anyway, a lot of it's probably just, let's try and be controversial for the sake of being controversial. Oh, that's how I feel anyway. So for me, as long as the music's good, the ideology behind it doesn't really affect me. So if it's of any interest, give it a thumbs up, dive in the comments. It's always fun to interact in the comments. Probably be back. Oh, I want to say a big thank you for everyone that the feedback on the 5 classic bands but not their go-to albums video. That's had probably more views than most of my videos ever get, and quite a few interesting comments as well. So there will be more of those to come. I think the next one I'm going to do will be a thrash metal one, but yeah, again, that's for another day. So thanks very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your, or what's left of the weekend. Real life is still jumping in the way of making really, really interesting and dazzling videos for you to enjoy. So enjoy whatever music you're listening to, as always, whatever genre of music you're listening to, and until we're back with another video, cheers!